Hi, everybody. This is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. It's Monday, November 26th, and I'm going to talk about a few things today. First of all, we have Jupiter and the Sun conjoined, and Jupiter is technically what we call cazimi right now. And so that's at the top of the list of things to talk about. Venus is also coming into an opposition with Uranus after several oppositions with Uranus. And then finally, I'm going to just talk very briefly about the path of the moon today and some things that you can pay attention to with the moon in its course of aspects that it's making. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my chart. So you should be able to now see the chart on the screen. And the main thing to pay attention to in today's transits, two things. You'll notice right here that the Sun and Jupiter are getting together in a conjunction. When a planet is exactly conjoined with the Sun and within even closer 15, sometimes up to 30 minutes within a degree of an exact conjunction, the planet is said to be cazimi. Now, the basic meaning of cazimi is that the planet is greatly empowered by the Sun. So you could think of it as one analogy that you'll sometimes hear is that the just as a king will give his official seal to an ambassador or a diplomat going to a foreign country, or empower someone to speak for him, the planet at the center of the Sun is given this kind of royal power and privilege for a temporary sort of a moment in time. So Jupiter's greatly empowered right now. Jupiter's in its own sign, and also, again, getting this kind of boost from the Sun. So very common to see themes of bigness, grandiosity, hope, vision, faith, renewal. Those are themes that are sort of more pronounced when the Sun and Jupiter get together, especially when Jupiter's in its own sign, because Jupiter's very comfortable in Sagittarius. There is a little bit of a beware here. You know, like I said in today's written horoscope, is don't go to the grocery store on an empty stomach. That kind of applies for a Jupiter-Sun conjunction. Everything gets a little bit bigger. Your sense of what you want or what you desire, the vision of the future that may appear. Remember, conjunction in the synodic cycle between the Sun and Jupiter indicates a new beginning. So this is the rebirth of Jupiter. And where that rebirth is taking place, there is, sometimes the clarification of a new vision or direction that we'd like to take going into the future. And so while that can come through right now and be pretty exciting, really, you have to be careful, because there's also the potential to, get big eyes and grandiose plans and some boosted sense of confidence, but this is a transit that may overpromise and underdeliver. So you do want to be careful to sort of what you commit yourself to, not biting off more than you can chew. Beware of that that temptation to kind of go too big too fast or something like that. So, however, it's important to remember that the Sun, Jupiter, when they get together, it reminds us that we each are here for a reason, that we each have a purpose to fulfill. And it's very difficult to fulfill a purpose in this world if our only purpose is material. So, we might want a big house, or we might want, a great marriage, or we might want, a lot of money, or importance in our career, or accomplishment, or like a healthy family, or whatever. We have all these goals. But the thing is that eventually they go away. And I said yesterday in a video that I made, one of the things one of my spiritual teachers says a lot is we need to have like a 200, 500 year plan for our lives, because we live beyond this body and beyond all the goals and things we may accomplish in this body. So what is our ultimate goal? Now, sometimes in spiritual circles, ultimate goals can get really grandiose as well, and we can bypass the important and meaningful things of our everyday life, the relationships, our neighbors, our concern for the environment. We can think too big and sort of bypass the everyday life that we're supposed to be living. That's not what we're talking about when we say develop a 400 or 500 year plan. What we're suggesting is that we start living our life in accordance with the idea that we are more than just what we accomplish in this lifetime. And while we have a dharma or a duty or a sense of destiny that is bound to certain kinds of events and outcomes in this particular life, ultimately, what brings us happiness is not related to the comings and goings of all of these material forms. They're beautiful, but it's like a light show. It's always moving and always changing. So how do we cultivate a loving relationship with the divine source that is reflected in all of these changes and events in this world, considering that we have an infinite amount of time to continue living as an eternal spirit soul? The ultimate goal maybe is just to develop a loving relationship with the divine. And if that's what we're really to do, then how can we shift our priorities, our vision, our big goals and plans to start moving into that kind of relationship a little bit more each day? Sometimes people just don't take enough time for themselves. They don't take enough quiet time. They don't take time to say thank you to God or to the universe for just the basic things that we have, the basic things like the roof over our head, or our friendships that we have, the warmth that exists in our heart. We rarely, if ever, right, take time to just slow down and stop and say thank you for those things. And it might seem really simple, but cultivating a practice of gratitude, cultivating some healthy alone time to reflect, to pray, to meditate, bringing in more everyday elements like the music that we listen to, the food that we eat, the lifestyle that we live, that can keep us connected in our hearts to that spirit of gratitude and to that larger divine source of which we're all a part, it's not an easy thing. And a lot of the times when a big new dream or goal or vision comes in, it's in just those moments where we forget that those are mirages, that those big dreams and goals and big plans and all this big confidence and excitement pales in comparison to being able to stay in a feeling of connectedness to the divine spark that exists in all of us. That should be our goal. That should be our 500-year goal. You know what I mean? So if we want to think big, we should think about that, and then watch as the quality of our consciousness changes with a 500-year plan. And everything that we do, all of the inevitable goals and activities that we do in this lifetime and in this body, take on a new meaning, regardless of if they work out or not, regardless of what kind of temporary happiness they give or disappointments they provide. Any and all of it will be experienced with the same feeling of connection, heart, warmth, love, gratitude. And that's what makes life worth living. It's not whether we meet the big goals or plans, it's how we experience the ups or the downs. So that's a really good thing to remember right now with this very positive kind of expansive energy coming through is don't forget the real big plan. Don't forget the real big picture. Even in the midst of lots of exciting endeavors that we have to do here in this lifetime as a part of our karma and as a part of our individual destiny paths. So that's a little bit about Jupiter and the Sun. Let's switch over now to talking about Venus and Uranus. Here's Venus in Libra, moving into an opposition with Uranus in Aries. Now, this has been a back and forth situation for these planets. Let's just go back and sort of take a look at what they've been doing, okay? So if we go back in time a little bit, here we go. They came, move this a little bit. They came together right around the end of October on Halloween. And if we go back before that, they also came back together right about, here we go. They came together again around September 12th, right? So they have had they've been dancing back and forth, you could say. So that relationship between Venus and Uranus, what is it all about? Well, Venus is, of course, a planet that refers to things like love, relationships, friendships, sensuality and sexuality, art and lovely things. Whether it's a nice smelling perfume or an essential oil, or if it's a beautiful costume that someone made by hand, or if it's a lover. These are all Venus related things. Venus also is cleanliness and temples and holy sacred places where people come in. It's beautiful and sacred, and it's a sort of a well kept community space, or like public fountains and parks where people are relaxing and laughing and playing. These are all Venus related places. Well, Venus's opposition to Uranus means, on one level, that there is disruption occurring to these places or to these kinds of themes or topics. So disruption, Uranus, in love, disruption in public, peaceful places. For example, the last one, this is not a comfortable or a pleasant topic, but Venus opposite Uranus happened. There were synagogue shootings. Someone attempted to shoot into a church, then went and killed some people, I think, in a grocery store. And then there was a shooting in a yoga studio, right? So just recently, there was a shooting in a mall. There was a shooting at a bar. All places where people gather to drink, to talk, to play, to shop, to worship. All public places that are peaceful or related to Venusian themes, buying clothing or going to a temple. These places of peace and friendliness and sometimes consumerism. All Venus related places. And disruption, unexpected, and Uranus in a Aries, a Mars ruled sign, sometimes violent, god of war, Mars ruled sign of Aries. So could we expect to see disruption in these places? Yes, but don't forget some of the positive things as well. We've seen a record number of women elected to public office. That's the shock, the originality, and the inventiveness, or sort of progressive, defiant, and rebellious qualities of Uranus. So women and independence, women and freedom, relationships and independence, sexuality and freedom or originality. These are also themes that are sort of constellated by this Venus opposite Uranus moment. So this will be coming through on November 30th in just a few days. But the reason I'm mentioning it today is it's just now within about 2 degrees. Venus has picked up some momentum after turning direct earlier this month, a long retrograde period. And now today, the moon is going to basically get in on this in the next 24 hours. The moon in Cancer, you can see here, the moon in Cancer will go through, here it is, by late tonight, it will start squaring Venus. You can see it right here. And then it'll move right into a square with Uranus. So the moon is like a barometer, and the moon is here just telling us that the energies that the moon will be reflecting in the next 24 hours will also involve the Venus-Uranus opposition. So disruption, agitation in love, or to women, or in public places, or in relationships, or with aesthetic, style, design, etc. So it's an interesting moment for these two planets, and the moon is just tipping us off to the importance of this even in the next 24 hours. A transit builds, generally speaking, through a couple of stages. One is a direct stage where it's moving through passage direct, and it's coming once it's within about 3 degrees. The events really start appearing. The inner feelings and themes start manifesting. You can just sort of see it. And then when it's exact, often it's like a peak. And then when it separates, it's, in a sense, it's like the aftershocks or the afterglow or the after events or the fallout that comes. And sometimes it's more intense on the way up. Sometimes it's more intense on the way down. Sometimes it's more intense right at the peak. Every transit's a little bit different because what you're showing is really a process, and every process will include a more sharp or distinct moment of change, or what we might call an event. But usually that event is connected to a lot of other events and a web of interconnected circumstances that you can learn to follow and track pretty nicely if you pay attention to the transits. So the last thing to keep in mind for today is just that the moon is also in Cancer, moving right into an opposition with Pluto. So there's that kind of emotional purgation, catharsis, issues around family, women, mothers, mothering, and this theme of emotional depth and discharge, and sometimes women's health. So you can see this opposition perfecting this morning, and pay attention to it in your daily life. Now, when it comes up, if you're paying attention, what you want to do is be very careful of the feeling of being grabbed by the transit. The transits have a tendency to grab us and pull us into things. One of the benefits of having a 500-year plan in prioritizing your spiritual life is that when you create that center, when you go back home to that space where you are an eternal being in a loving relationship with the source of all creation, and you prioritize that relationship, and you'll notice that you start being able to find happiness and contentment in all the ups and the downs. The ups and the downs are the things that most people who don't have a spiritual center get grabbed and pulled along by, and that's what the planets are mostly depicting. So you have to just remember that your centeredness is a choice, and that when you feel these things pulling, even if you just work that muscle of like, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to flip out, I'm not going to take evasive action or have some intense response right now or whatever. Catching yourself goes by degrees. Sometimes you try, but then you have a response and you can't help it. But the trying that starts building your spiritual center. It starts building your core, spiritually speaking. It's like a muscle that you have to develop. So trying and failing is okay, but not trying at all and just saying, oh, well, there was, Moon Pluto, I really lost it, or there was a bunch of drama and I just got sucked into it, and like, oh my God, the Moon Pluto is so intense. Well, no, it's not intense. The Moon Pluto isn't doing anything to you. The Moon Pluto is just depicting the natural flow of the Tao, the natural flow of events and changes in the world, of which you are an active participant with free will. So we don't have to get sucked into all of these things and just feel like helpless to all these massive energies and all of that. That's not what astrology is showing us. Astrology is giving us symbolic language, saying this is what's arising right now. And with that knowledge, we can choose more wisely what we do, how we think, what we feel, how we respond to the changes around us. So don't get grabbed. Try your best not to get grabbed by anything unhealthy that comes up. But know that we also have karma, and sometimes those patterns are really difficult to change. So sometimes it starts with just trying to stay in our center. And even if we fail, we keep trying, eventually that's how we change our karma, we change our destiny, and we slowly start getting off from the torturous wheel of ups and downs and cultivating a relationship with the divine that's like a passport. You can go anywhere in the universe with it and find yourself most importantly, the most important agenda becomes, how can I be a servant of God? How can I stay close to God in my heart? How can I feel that sense of connection to all living beings as a part of the same divinity? Those are the things, that connection to that, creating that space of connection, that linking is the only thing that matters. And wherever else you go, you're sort of like, I'm a messenger, I'm going wherever I'm sent. That change doesn't happen easily. It takes the work of coming back to the center. And even again, if we just give like an inch of, an inch of resistance to the planetary pull. In time, those things add up. So keep with it. Keep trying your best to not just get sucked into things that you don't need to be getting sucked into, especially today with Moon opposite Pluto, emotional responses that are, really intense and possibly sort of heavy and disruptive. So, and then if you get sucked into something, if something happens around you that's out of your control, just accept it and roll with it and keep your studies going. This is at the end of the day, this is actually joyful and fun and really interesting to be a part of all of this. You keep in your mind that I'm an eternal being. I can't die. I was never born. I can't truly be harmed as a spirit soul. But it really shifts how you interact with the world. So, okay, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope this was interesting. And remember, I'm in the midst of my annual Kickstarter campaign right now. I have a new online class starting on Saturday, this Saturday. It meets on Saturdays 30 times over the course of a year, plus 12 guest speakers. It is a course, a natal chart certification course that I lead, and it is a course in ancient astrology, ancient Hellenistic Greek astrology, that gradually builds bridges into different kinds of modern and psychological approaches. And you get to learn a lot about astrology that most people do not know. And you also get to eventually, toward the end of the program, you get to see a long series of live readings to show you how the theory and techniques are implemented working with other people. A lot of people come through the program and go on to practice with others. Sometimes people just take the program to enlighten themselves and just kind of take their own personal interest in astrology further. The program is on sale right now through my Kickstarter. I also have all of my other programs on sale through the Kickstarter, so you can check those out. Meanwhile, the Kickstarter also features some year ahead readings. I'll do a year ahead tarot reading for you, personalized recording that I send to you, or a year ahead astrology, or a year ahead I Ching reading. There's also a regular birth chart reading. There's a gift bundle of readings you can get for friends at the holidays. Lots of other cool gifts that are there as well. So I hope that you all found this interesting, and I hope you have a beautiful Monday today. Take care. Bye.